For tonight, what I want to talk about is the 3 things that I learned when I took an alcohol break in 2021. So before I get there though, I have to give a bit of a backstory. So if you met me back in 2018, 2019, or 2020, you might have thought that I was, the epitome of health and fitness because I was living in the gym 5 or 6 days a week. I was tracking my protein, my fiber, my calories. I was posting on social media about health and fitness. You would have felt that way if you met me on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, because the other side of the story is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I was getting drunk. I was getting wasted probably multiple times a weekend. I didn't like to really talk about that side on the internet or to friends or to anybody. And I was really living this kind of double life where depending on which day of the week you met me, you would probably have 2 completely different opinions of me. And I did this for a few years. But eventually there starts to be consequences of living basically 2 personalities, 2 identities, and 2 lives. There's a lot of shame associated with the hypocrisy of preaching one thing but then doing something totally opposite. There's shame associated with not being the best friend to people at times, not being the best son, not being the best brother to my sister at times. And it all culminated in about 2021 when I had a boat party with some old college friends. It was kind of like a college reunion of sorts. And again, I'm not happy to say it, but that was a day where I was pretty much belligerent drunk. Pretty much belligerent. It was one of those things when the party started at about noon. You drink beforehand, you drink during, you stay after, you hang out with friends. We go out to the bars that night. And that night I can remember having some friends that I hadn't seen in years and just being a jerk to them for no reason, just saying mean things to them for no reason. I can remember, having a girl who, spoiler alert, we are happily dating now, but at the time we weren't, and she was my crush since college, and I was saying mean things to her that night for no reason. And the very next day I woke up so hungover that I had to miss my best friend's birthday the next day. And so that was when I woke up and was like, you know what, I can't keep living this way. Something has to change. And I decided to, at that point, take a break from alcohol. And so that leads me to 2021 when I took that break. So the first thing I learned when I took that alcohol break in 2021 is, number 1, being sober is the best way to test people and activities. And what I mean by that is when you're living that lifestyle of going out and getting drunk, a lot of times you think you like certain people, you think you like certain activities or environments, and it wasn't until I was like, you know what, let me hang out with this person sober and find out if I still like them. Let me go to this environment and sober and see if I still like it. And for me, it was pretty eye-opening. On the people side, I had friends who I had told them, I had been very transparent with people who I thought were my closest friends, and I said, look, I'm stopping alcohol for these reasons because it's led me to show up this way with my family, my friends, with relationships. They knew the reasons why I wanted to take a break from alcohol. And yet, when I would go around these people, it was still, come on man, 1 beer's not gonna hurt. Come on man, 1 drink, come on man, what's the big deal? What's the issue? And it was an eye-opening experience that I'll never forget, where I thought I had people that were in my corner, when in actuality, we were just drinking buddies. And then about environments. I had the bright idea when I was on month 2, where I was like, hey, why can't I go back to 6th Street? Why can't I go back to the same bars I used to go to and just drink water? What's the big deal? And I would get in those environments and I was like, oh man, this sucks. Because I was just like, I'm sweaty, I can't have a conversation, everything's so loud, the ground is sticky. How did I ever enjoy this? And so that's the first lesson I learned, is that if you really want to evaluate the people in your life and the places you show up to, just try doing it sober. It might be more eye-opening than what you think. The second thing I learned is that a lot of times, myself included, but many people drink due to social pressures, right? Before I took my alcohol break, I was under the impression that I was drinking because I just enjoyed it, or because it tasted good, or for all these different reasons. And again, I kind of came into it with the mindset of, hey, if I take a break from alcohol and keep showing up to these same environments, I kind of thought nobody around me would really care. I thought if anything, I'd be the one who was feeling uncomfortable. The weird thing that stuck out to me was a lot of these environments when I would say, hey, that I'm just gonna have a water or just gonna have a soda or whatever it might be, it actually starts to make people around me uncomfortable. And that blew my mind. I was going into it being the one who was insecure, thinking that I'm gonna be the person who's the weirdo, who's not drinking, and just me ordering the water makes people uncomfortable. And that's when it hit me that, you know what, as much as I'm judging these other people for feeling this way, maybe I was the same exact way. And so that was eye-opening for me as well, is that a lot of it really does come from social pressures. And it's weird because we don't do this about any other beverage that we drink, right? If we go to a breakfast restaurant and we say, I want to have coffee today, nobody around you is going to try to pressure you to drink coffee. No one around you is going to get uncomfortable because you're not drinking coffee. But with alcohol, it was the one thing that it was that way. And so that leads me to the third thing that I learned. And the third thing I learned is that whether it's related to alcohol or to career or whatever it might be, if you want to make a change in your life, if you want to change who you are as a person, permission to make that change has to come from within. Because again, like I said earlier, when I was relying on friends to give me permission to make this change, I found out that even after I made the change, some friends didn't support me. And so if I could take away one thing from that experience, it's that at the end of the day, if you want to change yourself, that change has to come from within. Nobody else can do it for you. And so those are the three things that I learned. And Chris, thanks for having me.